Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the United States Spiritist Federation. And this is the Spiritist Talk Series every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We welcome everyone and are so delighted to have people from all over the globe, whether you're listening to this now live or later on demand. And we welcome our speaker today, Anna Moreno, who will be speaking about the survival kit for the planetary transition. And so before she begins her talk today, let me formally introduce Anna. She is the co-founder and president of the Chico Xavier Learning Center in Portland, Oregon. After a life-threatening autoimmune diagnosis in 2013, Anna changed her career path in Silicon Valley and started learning about ways to control her autoimmune conditions. Today, she is in remission. And so we welcome you, Anna. And I just want to remind people, if you have questions during her presentation, please put your questions in the chat. And because she has reserved some time afterwards to answer and address any comments. So it's all yours, Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Teresa. So, um, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here with me. May we have a blessed morning, and maybe may all be inspired on how to build our survival kit. Every time that I am invited to this type of conversation, I feel honored. But the invitation is a open invitation. So the usually the people who come, the speakers, they can choose anything they want to talk about, and it's it's a blessing, but it's also complicated. But in a moment like that, what should we talk about? And as I was reflecting about the topic for this morning, and the moment that we are living, not only in the United States, but all over the world, seems to be so unique, so different, that I felt like all of us needed a survival kit. As we go to a forest or to a long trip or to a big adventure, usually we plan in advance, we pack essentials so we will not be hungry or thirsty or be protected. Um, I myself, a while back, while hiking in the Bay Area, I got lost for a few hours. I mean, the hike was supposed to take like 2 hours, and I was lost for maybe 7 hours with my dog. Ran out of water, ran out of food, and the sun was very high. So this is important because when you feel like you have no idea where to go, you need somehow like that North Star to give you direction and the comforts that you're not alone, that there is someone looking after you. So, as we start here, the first thing is that how do we know that we are in this planetary transition? So the planetary transition has been a central topic for many of us. I mean, there are several books that talk about, and kind of it covers like this period where Earth is evolving from trials and expiations to a world of regeneration. And right now we are in this transitional phase, and everybody kind of keeps asking, so when does it end? Well, we don't know. There's no date, because the transition ends when we transition, when each one of us transition. But the feeling is that we are in the eye of a storm and that will never end. But the good news is it's that it will. It will. This is just a phase that will pass, that shall pass like everything else. So if we go back in time, we'll see that that transition kind of started back in the 18th century during the French Revolution, when some people thought that um, God was not important and started to only pay attention to the material aspect. that God was an invention of our imagination. And since then, we've seen a lot of major shifts in our planet. So war, economic bursts, and social challenges, and pandemics, and climate change, social upheavals, and this is all part of a cleansing process. The thing is that this type of situations kind of shake our roots and to wake us up, to get out of that spiritual stagnation that I mentioned, that somehow we forgot about God, and push the humanity, all of us, toward growth. So we live in a planet of trials. This is no news. There are different challenges inside, outside our homes, injustice, cruelty everywhere these days. We just need to open the news or open the phone or turn on the social media, TV, and then somehow we feel like the basic values are being dismissed. That seems to be part of our daily lives. So to awaken this dismissive cautions, it's necessary sometimes to really reach the rock bottom, so we can be tired of suffering. And I know that may sound a little harsh, but so many of us, we need to go through pain and sorrow to be awakened. And that for me, it's also a life lesson. That's how many things we take for granted. In my case, as Teresa was introducing me, I took for granted my health. So we prioritize lot of things in our lives, and suddenly we start looking for happiness in personable goods, forgetting our family, our friends, our health, to reach economical and social status and dreams, thinking that would make us happy, but not. So we're living in a moment, in a planet where money talks, where we're surrounded by people that believe that power is what matters, but also living in a moment that people who have money, youth, power are also facing mental health challenges. So we are coming to realize that that's not enough. And if we go back to the gospel according to Spiritism, we'll see that the spirits kind of told that to Kardec way back when. So I would say that for us, we can look at this as like a birth process, like a rebirth. It is painful for all the women who have given birth to kids. It is painful. Nobody says that, oh, giving birth is fun. No, it's horrible. But it's a happy moment. It is. It is filled with hope. It requires labor of love, for us to kind of get into this next stage of life. So the transition that we are going right now is this opportunity for humankind to evolve, not only intellectually, but also morally. And this is a collective process where each one of us plays a vital part. So we are not spectators. We cannot say, okay, I don't want to play the game. No, we are active participants. Our thoughts, our actions, we are owners not only of our path, but we are also responsible for the vibration of our planet. And in this phase that may last a few decades still, we will reach a point that we'll find more understanding and fraternity and love in our day-to-day lives. So there is hope. Things will get better. But as we talk about the symptoms, we've seen like natural disasters all over the place, earthquakes, floods, fires, pandemics. And as we see these events, many times we look at them as purely physical. They are not only physical. They are not only happening here on this realm. So this, from a spiritual perspective, they are a moral cleansing that serves to awaken us morally, waking our kind of a muscles of solidarity, remind us the fragility of life, make sure that we understand where we are all interconnected. For me, the biggest thing is like the pandemic started in China and suddenly here in the US we ran out of toilet paper. We're all connected. And we forget that. We think that the problem is outside my home until a point that it reaches my heart. And in this moment, there is a mass unveiling of hidden truths. Again, going back to our news. So, if we look in terms of corruption and abuse and injustice, this is being brought to life. This is part of this moral purification that is showing us that humanity needs to confront its shadows and transform. Another symptoms is the acceleration of this karmic balance, that we see that there are many spirits. Divaldo says that we're gonna have like this churn of spirits that are more ignorant, that will face this internal intense trials. And for those who have read the books that about the planetary transition, can see that widely described. And we will also see some collective tragedies. This is not about punishment, but opportunities for rapid learning and adjustment through the loss of love. So I think one of the biggest messages here is that we cannot waste time. It's time. This is the last opportunity that we have on this planet before it becomes a better one, a planet of regeneration and love. On the positive side, we also see this surge of spiritual awakening, and we see that mediumship is kind of mediumship abilities is popping everywhere. Some of the old methodologies and practices like yoga, they just reached the common ground, and people are more connected to nature. They are questioning themselves. So this is also part of this transitioning. And the signs can be overwhelming, because as we look inside, as we look in the mirror with different lens, we may see things that we are scared. But I'm here to tell you these are hopeful indicators that humanity is being prepared for a better future. That even though before it gets better, it may get worse, we need to remember that nothing happens away of God's eyes. So what does the Spiritism kind of tells us about this? So to really understand, we need to dive ourselves into the core principles of Spiritism as codified by Kardec in the 19th century. Where we learn that Earth is a temporary school. So we are not here on vacation. We are not here by chance. We are not here just once. This is a place that we as eternal spirits, we incarnate over and over again to learn. It's a school. And for many of us, the experience of going to school was not the best experience ever. So we faced bullies, we had tests, late nights, studying for whatever. But that's the place that we grow. Our kids, they may say that they prefer to play video games or stay in front of the TV instead of going to school. But what do we do as parents? Do we say, oh no, honey, yeah, you can stay at home. Don't go to school. Yeah, just play video game 12 hours. And then, by the way, if you want to eat some, hot dogs and mac and cheese every day, that's okay. No parent's going to say that. Because we know that experience of going to school is important. We know that the food that we eat, we create the state of our bodies. It's food for our cells. So changing our view that Earth is a place of suffering to Earth is a place for learning and growth. The other aspect that Spiritist philosophy brings to us is the law of progress. And this law assures us that all beings in all planets are destined to evolve. And then one day we will become perfect. And we are not stuck. We are not stuck. And this is important to remember. And through many lifetimes and experience, we refine our character and understanding of the divine laws. And through reincarnation, and it kind of explains why we face some of those challenges. So thanks to reincarnation, which is part of God's love for us, we can come back and fix things, correct our past mistakes, repair our relationships. And sometimes that repair is inside our own houses. And that's hard. But it's inside our homes that we developed this foundation of virtues like patience, forgiveness, love, which aligns with another very important law, divine law, which is law of justice, love, and charity. So God's laws are based on love, period. And Spiritism comes and teaches that we are never alone. So in this process, God is with us, and He's sending His higher spirits, our guides, mentors, protectors, who are constantly around us to inspire, to coach, to basically hold our hands and help us through these challenging moments. So we may think this is a chaos and everything is lost, but it's not. It's not a chaos without meaning. There is a captain taking care of this vessel. It's a guided, purposeful transformation, and has been managed, supported by spiritual leaders, by Jesus, that we know that's the governor of our planet. And nevertheless, we need to be prepared for it. And that's what we are going to talk right now. And that's the survival kit. So the first piece of the survival kit that I want to put here is a very simple one. It's prayer, a simple prayer. So you can use the Lord's Prayer. You can create your own. You can just say, hello, God, I'm here. I'm here. This is a prayer. So the idea is just to pause for a moment and reframe our focus, because we may look like that guinea pig that is just kind of on the wheel running, and we need to stop and reframe our thoughts in a positive way. And because sometimes we cannot change the situation from the outside, but we can change how we feel. We can change how we see things. And the moment that we change inside, and this is the tricky thing, the magical thing, at the moment that we change inside, the outside starts to change as well. So many people I know would say that they don't know how to pray. But prayers don't need to be long, they don't need to be complex, they don't need to uh, be overthought. No, we don't need to overcomplicate that. I mean, the only thing needs to come from our hearts. That's all. So it's a simple dialogue with our uh, guardian angel, with our mentor, who are our beloved spirits, with a saint that we may be devoted um, to Jesus, to God. It's our choice. But the point is that we need to imagine that we are connecting with them. As we think about that, it does happen. As simple as that. So, why should we do that? We are never alone. And the moment that we connect with these higher spirits, with angels, with enlightened beings, we receive the assistance. They can inspire, they can help us with the thoughts, with our moral transformation, is having like our backup, our wingman. Their mission is to uplift, to guide, to encourage us. So why it is so hard for us to think about praying, which is probably the easiest tool that we have to get the energy, the resource that we need. And many of um, the people around us go through this process of pain and forget to pray. So I can tell you that praying is a faster process than sending a text message or a WhatsApp message. The moment that we think, we connect. Divaldo is telling us that there are about, not Divaldo, Joana de Angelis, that is about 200 very elevated beings that are coming to Earth to help and serve. So they're going to be here incarnated. But we need to remember that we are never alone on the spiritual realm too. It's all about the vibration with people that we connect. So on the other hand, we can see that they're also ignorant beings, imperfect beings, and we just need to open the windows to see that are often confused, rebellious. They mix the truth with lies, and they can influence how we feel. So that's the importance of being guarded, of paying attention to where we are going. These beings are kind of bonded to selfishness and pride. They can stir up fear, division, anger, addiction, selfishness, pain. But remember, we are only going to be influenced by those beings if we are in the same vibration of them. So in the moment that we pray, the moment that we pay attention to our thoughts, we tune in with the more elevated beings. So spiritism, it's a reminder that we attract spirits who resonate with our inner world, that we are all connected all the time in both realms, the material and the spiritual realm. And so it's a personal call to elevate our thoughts, to change our habits, so we can receive and reflect the light of the higher planes instead of just showing our shadows. The second part of the kit that I wanted to include here requires a lot of work, and that can scare some people out of spiritism, because that's part of our inner reform. So what does that really mean? So that means that change begins with us, and we already talked to that. So if we want the world to become a better place, we need to become a better people. The true transformation on earth will happen not only through technology and politics alone, but there is a moral front. It means that we need to practice humility, that we can recognize the imperfections on us and be compassionate about others. We need to learn about forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, so we can learn how to forgive others. We need to uh, uh, think about ways to bring charity into our lives, not only monetary donations, but sometimes kind of lending a helping hand and listening and serving others with love. So spiritism encourages to free from material attachments. And why? Why? Not because material things are bad. No, it's because the attachment kind of bind us or blind us through the spiritual truth and values. So we can use the material things, but we cannot be servant of them, which is different. The more we are tied to material things, we are linked to ego, to pride, to greed, to status, and it's harder to grow. So Jesus is our perfect model. He's our guide. He's the example. So, and this kind of scares people as well, because they look at themselves in the mirror and say, "Oh, I cannot be like Jesus." And we don't need to reach that level right now on this reincarnation. But he's the North Star. He's the reference. We are still the blueprint, but we can look at the final model as Jesus. And his example of unconditional love, humility, service is the way that we will regenerate Earth. So the transition is not just a time for external upheaval, but it's a sacred opportunity to look inside and to renew who we are, who redefine who we are, transforming ourselves, so we can help the transformation of our planet. The third part of the kit is about the shelter. And this is probably the first thing we need to do when we are lost in a forest. And why? Because we need protection. If we are going to sleep over during night hours and we cannot see much ahead, we need to be protected from animals, from nature. And in our case, that protection is the spiritist center. So the spirit center is a place where we can study, we can learn, we can meet people that think alike us, and it is a place that everyone is invited to make better choices. So we can learn how to control our thoughts, our feelings, and above all, understand why we are here. And I think that with the pandemic, many of us became kind of a little lazy, not wanting to go to the spirit center and only connecting to meetings online. And this is different. I'm not saying that connecting online is not a good thing. I'm just saying that there's something better. Like if you have a headache, you would just take like some ibuprofen or something like that. But if you broke your arm, you need to go to the ER. And what I'm saying is that in this transition that we are going through right now, many of us have broken arms and legs, and we need the emergency room. And the emergency room, this hospital, this healing place, is the Spirit Center. We know that the Spirit Center has like the field therapy, the spiritual healing, the passes. We also know about the mediums that may help. We help us kind of with special passes like this obsession. We also have the magnetized water that has been intentionally charged by the good spirits with spiritual fluids and energies. And the passy, the water, they are considered as a complementary therapy for our well-being. So I'm not saying that we should not see doctors and psychologists, therapists. No. What I'm just saying is that we go there and we basically have this extra resources to make us feel stronger. The other thing is that the spiritual guidance. So we have fraternal assistants, um, people who are there working, they are inspired by benevolent spirits that are motivated by love, by wisdom, and the desire to make humanity progress morally and intellectually. So we have the study groups, and we know that we grow by learning. If we do not learn the right things, we'll continue to do things as we were, and we do not grow. So the way to change is through our behavior. Also, many of us want to do good things, charity work, but we don't know how. And usually the spiritist center can be a venue where we find ways to help others and kind of help our community, or even kind of support ourselves, because many of us go through very difficult pains and still don't know where to find help. So the next is the daily routine, and this is about our hygiene. And when I say that, I'm thinking about our, as workers, as the last hour, we have the opportunity to awake our inner selves and create a better version of ourselves. On the Spirit's book, we have the question 919 and 919a, where St. Augustine basically tells about the importance of the daily reflection, which is an evaluation of what we did, what we can improve, things that we did wrong, things that we could do better. If we know the areas that we need to change, we can be more effective. It's important. The first point, the first step for transformation is knowing ourselves. So as we study, as we learn, we became more acquainted in terms of what we need to do. And unlike other religions in the past, and I don't see Spiritism as only as a religion, I think Spiritism is a connection with God, and the field, it's a lot of philosophy, a lot of science. And so I think as a moral bound, as a foundation, more than a religion, because we don't have rituals, we don't have dogmas, we don't have a leader, a spiritual leader. No, there's no hierarchy. So but it's a way that we can build a community of mutual support and belonging. In the Spiritism, we learn that the gospel is more a verb than a noun, so it needs to be lived. And Paul of Tarsus says something that I think it's great, which is that, go preach, and if needed, use your words. So it's a way that we can practice inside our homes, inside our community, bringing to our daily lives this new way of life and of prayers and helping each other, like in the little things, not waiting for something big to happen, but um, even kind of just reducing the number of worries that we have every day. Just understanding that everything's okay, everything's going to be all right, that we are not alone on this vessel. And then the last part of the kit is the first aid. And as a first aid kit, we can address our physical needs, but also um, it is a reminder of the importance of our well being in all aspects of life. And we need to remember that we are mind, body, and spirit all together. So, mental health is a top concern across the globe, and spirituality combined with our lifestyle plays a big, huge role on the positive or negative result. And it's on us to build that first aid. And if we open our phone, we'll see lots of apps that will be talking about meditation. And we all know that this is mainstream. So if we walk, a couple of blocks, we will see like yoga studios and health centers to kind of help us kind of center our minds. But peace is built within. And it's about living the present. It's about controlling our thoughts. And we know that even though we feel like the anxiety is about the future, am I going to have a job? Am I going to be deported? We need to live the present and do the best we can. Understanding that there is a hand that is taking care of everything, that we need to flourish, to blossom where we are planted, no matter where we are. So as we leave today, think about not thinking about the future and being anxious, not thinking about the past and feeling guilt and the pain of things that you have done or not done. This is the only way, because that's only what we can control is the present. The other part of the first aid is in terms of lifestyle choices. So one of the things that therapists recommend is about journaling. So it's a good way, writing is a good way of processing our emotions, documenting even our spiritual growth, and then we'll see how much we have come. Sometimes we forget, and it's important to respect our progress and value our progress and love ourselves. The other aspect of the life choices is about diet, because we know that healthy, balanced diet will change the chemical environment in our cells. Also, exercises, everybody knows that. Now, when we go out into the nature, when we spend 20 minutes barefoot on a grass, we can feel the prana, the energy of God coming through us. It's like having the Japanese actually they call forest bath for that exercise. The other lifestyle choice that we can make is start helping others, finding one day in a month, in a trimester, to get out of your comfort zone and help a nonprofit. Go feed people, go make food, go sort clothes, go sort food. There are a lot of nonprofits that need help, that do great charitable work and need people like us to support. The third part of the first aid is about creating a support system, and connecting with the Spirit Center group can help us create a sense of belonging, of mutual support. We build friendships and we become better people. And So remember that we have different pieces of this puzzle of the first kit, not the first aid kit, not only the material aspect, but also the spiritual aspect. So as we move forward with these 5 parts of our survival kit, I want to say that each one of us can make a difference. As we change our vibration, we change the vibration of our planet. And as we pray, as we work on our moral vigilance, as we do more clarity, we are working towards a better world. And this behavior will attract elevated spirits that will resonate with us and will help us in this transition, that will protect us. And remembering that we are connected, not only in the material realm, but also in the spiritual realm. So this is a personal call to elevate our thoughts, change our habits, and so we can receive and reflect the light of these beings that are around us. There's also the aspect of all the kids that are coming as to help the evolution of our planet. We know that there's hundreds of beings that will help us incarnated during this journey, and they will offer examples of virtual resilience, wisdom to help us guide us through this difficult moment. And they will be incarnated not only in the spiritual aspect, the spiritist or spiritualism aspect only, but also in science, in arts, in social justice, in politics. So they will help kind of unveil the whole area of our planet. And we also seeing that the kids that are surrounding us and coming to the spirit center, they have their sensitiveness very attuned. So they are seeing spirits, they are having vivid dreams, sometimes lots of nightmares, they have strong emotions. So they are attuned with emotions that surround them. That's innate ability. And with that in mind, the youth education is very important. So we encourage in this conversation for the parents and caregivers to learn more about mediumship and spiritual sensitivity, and also guide their children to the spirit center, to youth groups, so they can learn more about this spiritual world. And if you are feeling like you need help with mediumship at home, look for the center. Ask for help, because mediumship is a blessing, not a curse. It's our way to help others. And as we are moving towards the end of our conversation here, I just want to finish with this part of Alice in Adventures in Wonderland from Lewis Carroll. And then when Alice asked the Xavier cat for directions to get out of the Wonderland, the cat responds with a philosophical riddle rather than a straightforward answer. And I'm going to read this to you. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? And then the cat says, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to. I don't much care where, Alice said. Then it doesn't matter which way you go, said the cat. So long I get somewhere, Alice added as an explanation. So the cat answered, oh, you're sure to do that if you walk long enough. So this isn't a practical guide for living Wonderland. Instead, it highlights the importance of having a clear destination in mind. And this is a question, a reflection for each one of us, that we need to think about this specific goal, the path that we want to go. Understanding that Spiritism give us a clear line, a roadmap to follow. But it's on us to accept the invitation. And with that, I thank you all for the opportunity of being here. And I wish for each one of us to be inspired by this survival kit. And may God guide us into the path of the new era. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. It was a great presentation and one very much needed at this time. I love how you started out by saying all this stuff going on around us is not just happening physically, but there is a spiritual component as well. It's such a good reminder. Thank you so much. And I would just like to remind everybody, if you still have questions or comments, please put them in the chat and stay with us, because after some announcements, we will have the Q&A session. So the 18th Spiritist Conference of Georgia, coming up on May 17th and May 18th in Mableton, Georgia. The conference, entitled Divine Justice, will be celebrating 160 years of the book Heaven and Hell by Allan Kardec. The 19th U.S. Spiritist Symposium, an annual and national event to happen on September 20th. In Ann Arbor, Michigan. Save the date and join us. The Evolution of Consciousness, a Path Towards Enlightenment. There will be activities for kids and teens all day. Registration opened soon. And then we have a podcast-like series, Psychology and Spirituality, A Bridge to a Better Life, based on the works by Joanna J. Angelus. A new episode every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. It is also available on YouTube and Spotify. And then we have the new release of the Spiritist Review, 1865 by Allan Kardec. And on the screen, please note there's a QR code if you want to help the USF produce more publications and promote Spiritism to everyone. Scan the code on screen for your donation. And there are audio, Be My Hope. It's a Spiritist app. It's offering uplifting content in a collection of videos, daily messages, and audio materials. Download it now from the App Store or Google Play. It's free. And there are free professionally recorded Spiritist audiobooks, sponsored and produced by the Spiritist Society of the Carolinas. At your own pace, listen to Allan Kardec's foundational works on YouTube at the Spiritist Society Carolinas. Okay, and so now you see on the screen the QR code. And if you want to help the USSF produce more publications and promote Spiritism to everyone, please scan the code. And we will now turn our attention to the comments and questions. So please feel free to submit if you haven't yet. And let's see, the first question is by Violet. Good morning. Isn't a transition also an evolution?
Yes, it is. So we are evolving from a world of trials and expiations to a world of regeneration. Yes.
Thank you. And from the U.S. Spiritist Federation, it seems eminent at this time for one to have a spiritual conception of the world. Would you say the planetary transition is an opportunity for humans to evolve through materialism?
Yes. I think it's on a wake and call.
Yeah.
It's like the alarm clock kind of calling us to remind us that we need to change our perspective, understanding that what exists is not only what we touch or what we see with our bare eyes. There's much more than that. So the way that we can evolve is kind of being more attuned to the other things that are going surrounding us. And one of the things that I would like to say is that, for example, we feel like our changes in behavior, humor during the day. Sometimes in the morning we are super happy, and then something happens, and then we feel like, oh my God, everything is going wrong and nothing's gonna work. So when we see this oscillation, and then we can feel that there is all like a big gap between how we felt in the morning, how we are feeling in the afternoon. And this is much done through also the spiritual influence around us. So the spiritual kit, it's about that too, to make sure that we are more attuned to what is happening surrounding us, all this world of vibration. And many of us with mediumship, we are so attuned in terms of what's going on. So I would say that even pay attention when you go to people's homes and how you feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel good after that? Does it make you happy? Do you feel like your heart racing? So this is all kind of a signs that, okay, this is good for me. No, that's not good for me. With food, it's so easy, right? Because sometimes we eat like a big steak, and then we keep remembering that steak for 24 hours. So you say, okay, next time I may not want that steak.
Mm-hmm.
But with the spiritual aspect, we forget.
Right. Thank you. And this is from Mark Carlos. Is there now a responsibility for all spiritists to maintain calm in the face of chaos, since we know we are meant to be in the here and now?
So Mark, thank you for your question. So not only we are meant to be here and now, but we ask for it. And many times we feel like, I want to run away, right? So we see like the index of suicidal rates kind of just growing as the mental health becomes even more and more a health problem. But as spiritists, our role is to help create this foundation of peace. And peace can start, it always starts within us first, and then in our homes. There is a small story that I think it's very cute. So there was this journalist that needed to work on this article, and he was not really getting it inspired, and it was talking about the crisis in the world, and everything that was going on, and it was late, and and he was not kind of being able to kind of break through his writer's blockage. And then he had like a small daughter, a little one, that will always interrupt him and so he could not get his mind kind of going. So at some point he basically said, oh gosh, no, he had like he looked down his desk, and then he saw this picture of the planet Earth. And then basically what he did is that he cut that in small pieces and give it to her, said, okay, put together this puzzle while daddy works. 2 minutes after, she comes and the puzzle is ready. And it was like, how did you do that? And think, my daughter is a super genius. I said, oh, that was easy, daddy, because on the other side there was the drawing of a man. So I fixed the man, and then I fixed the planet.
Ah, that's sweet.
Yeah.
We really do need to be looking to the next generation, right? So Daniel Santos, Spiritism emphasizes humanity's role in the ongoing planetary transition through individual and collective moral progress. Do you know if other philosophies or religions share the same view of human transformations?
Yeah. So Danny, yesterday I was in a class studying the Bhagavad Gita. So for those who do not know, like from Hinduism, comes from the Vedas, like 5,000-year-old philosophy. And it says about the importance, the chapter that we were studying was talking about the importance of us kind of looking inside and transforming ourselves. If we go back to the sutras that was also written about 5,000 years ago, the second sutra basically says that yoga is to calm the waves of mind.
Mhm.
So we see that these philosophies that are super ancient, and I can talk about Buddhism or Judaism, they have this view that we are on a path to become better people. But 5,000 years ago, we already had coming from the Vedas talking about God, uh, the good spirits, and the ones that would need to reincarnate to become better people. And that's where we are. And some of us have more vices than others, but we are all together on this planet. It's like in the same classroom in a school. Some people are more developed, more accelerated. They can go to AP class or honors class, but they are all in the same grade. And that's where we are right now. And the ones who know more needs to help the ones that know less.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And that starts at home. Which is very hard because sometimes we see an adult doing something that seems very childish, or our partner or kids or our parents, and we forget that chronological age doesn't have anything to do with maturity, moral maturity.
Thank you. And I believe we have another United States Spiritist Federation. Since planetary transition is about moral progress of the human, and we know morals are not obtained through preaching, how does one acquire morals?
Yeah. So the first thing is that's part of the kit that we were talking about. The first thing is about knowing ourselves. Without us knowing who we are, we will not know what areas we need to improve. So looking at the mirror, doing the exercise that St. Augustine help us understand on the Spirit's book is the first step. The second thing is about studying. So the only way to become better after we look at our flaws is, okay, so how to make things different. We need to improve our luggage, our toolkit, in terms of, before I behave like this is the way that I knew how to do it.
Mhm.
I don't know how to do it different, so we need to learn something different. So first step, knowing yourself. Second one, in study. And the third one is practicing charity. Charity, not only through donations, monetary donations, but charity on an aspect of moral charity and helping others and being patient. The other people, when they basically defy us and challenge us, we need to pay attention. Okay, what type of feeling that is triggering inside of me? Because this is the material that I need to work on, and that goes beyond preaching.
Mhm.
That's a living exercise.
Right. It seems that we're being invited to step out of the material and more into the spiritual. And so from what you said, Anna, I gather it's, goodness is not this one and for all, like now I'm good, now I'm not, but it's this ongoing transformation, inner transformation, bit by bit,
It's a
each
practice.
encounter. Yes.
It's a practice. Yeah. And without comparing ourselves with others, it's comparing ourselves to who I was 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
Mhm.
without guilt.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and from the TVCEI International Spiritist Council, What about claims that the planetary transition has a specific date to happen?
Yeah. So the time, if you ever hear in any YouTube saying that, by that date, it will be like that, don't follow that channel.
Mm.
Because the time in the spiritual realm and the time on the material realm are very different. So the other aspect is that the transition is based on our behavior.
Mm.
So we'll take a couple generations. Who knows, maybe 2050, but I don't know.
Mhm.
It will depend of how each one of us behave, and that's why it's so important for us to change our way to see life on a day-to-day basis and become better people, because the faster we do that, the faster we'll have a better world.
Right. Thank you. Okay, and the last question for today is again from the TV CEI International Spiritist Council. What happens to us if we don't have the same resonance with the regenerating earth? Where do we go if we can't reincarnate on earth?
So we will go to a planet that is aligned with our thoughts, with our feelings, with our emotions. So it's like we are being suspended from
Mm.
school for some time until we show better behavior. But nothing is lost, because if we move to a different planet that is not evolved as Earth will be, we'll be able to help others. And through doing charity, to helping others, we'll be able to evolve and come back to Earth later on.
Yeah, and this possibly may be what is the case for many of us here now, right? Possibly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Anna. It was a great presentation and very appropriate to the current time. And a heartfelt thanks to everyone who joined us today. And we are so appreciative for those who are following the Spiritist Talks series regularly. So we invite everybody back next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where Leah Govea will be speaking to us on Be of Good Cheer. So, Anna, if you have any closing remarks you'd like to make, or if and follow us with a closing prayer, that would be welcomed.
Yeah, so I think that I just want to leave with a message of hope, knowing that we are never alone, that help is around us at any time we search for it. We just need to ask for. And Jesus said that. Ask and it will be given. So let's remember that. And in this moment, I thank you all for tuning in and being with us and supporting this channel. And as we close our eyes, we connect with our higher spirits, thanking them for the opportunity of being here this morning, for the support, the inspiration, the love, for all the blessings, the invisible ones that we receive every single day and may not even perceive them. Thank you, God, for being our Father of love, for giving us the opportunity of reincarnation. Thank you, God, for giving us so many invisible friends that can hold our hands, for giving us spirits that can help us walk through these moments of trials, knowing that we are supported, we are loved, we are not alone. We ask you, dear God, dear Father, to bless each one of our homes, our family members, to look at our challenges, to help us with wisdom so we know how to navigate them, to give us strength, and faith to make better choices today and tomorrow. So be it. Thank you so much, Teresa.
Thank you. Thank you again, Anna. See you all soon.
Thank you all.